The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome to the program. A lot of great stories to talk about today. I want to get right into it. Here's one involving the Supreme Court, specifically Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. And Antonin Scalia has been criticized for a while for some of his writings, which some find to be offensive and anti-gay. And he was speaking at Princeton University, and he was asked by a gay student, why do you equate laws banning sodomy with those banning bestiality and murder? And Scalia said, I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's effective, adding that legislative bodies can ban what they believe to be immoral. Now, he's been giving speeches across the country promoting this new book of his called Reading Law. And this lecture at Princeton came just days after the Supreme Court actually agreed to take on two cases that challenge the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, which could be, potentially, they could be significant precedent-setting cases on the topic of marriage equality.
Right. Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not supposed to rule on morality, right? I mean, he's supposed to rule on his interpretation of the law and the Constitution.
See, it's like, Natan, of course Lewis is right, but these basic things seem to just be ignored by a lot of Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, and actually, you know, I would kind of fault teachers, the media, the government, pretty much everyone's at fault for thinking that Supreme Court justices are godly, nonpartisan, just perfectly reasonable people who are just looking at the text. They're people like everyone else, and they have partisan leanings, and they have religious beliefs.
So the key line from this speech at Princeton from Scalia was, he went on and he said, if we cannot have moral feelings against homosexuality, can we have it against murder? Can we have it against other things? And he cleared up, he tried to clear up, listen, I'm not equating gay sex with murder. I'm simply drawing a parallel between bans on both. Now, I'm not accusing him of equating them, but my question would be, how can you even really, as a Supreme Court justice in a lecture about your book Reading Law, even draw a parallel between murder, an act of taking someone's life, and consensual sex or a relationship between two people? How can you even draw parallels, to use his word?
Right. I believe that drawing parallels and equating are basically the same thing.
That's the other thing. What about that?
Who is this guy?
It's scary.
What a clown.
It's scary that Roe v. Wade is something that he feverishly wants to overturn and thinks that was a bad decision, when so many people's lives, really, when we think about it, rely on the decisions that these 9 individuals make. He went on and he likes to talk about how the Constitution is not a living document that changes with the times. He went on to say it is dead, 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 and saying that all that matters is the intent of those who wrote it. Putting aside the idea for a second of whether the Constitution changes, let's assume the Constitution doesn't change, that it is a dead document, as Antonin Scalia says. Isn't it a little naive to think that an unchanged document, well, I guess he would argue it's not unchanged, right? It has and can continue to be amended, but a document whose principles were written when the way of life of those writing it could just as easily have been another planet, forget about another time period, is still literally relevant today, and that those specific intentions are the guiding principle. I understand legally the Constitution is a framework, but that level of obsession to me seems like a little bit of naivete.
Right. There are lots of angles you can take on the Constitution and how it should be interpreted, but I don't know. I mean, clearly, when you get into someone's interpretation of a legal document,
right,
you can draw your own conclusions, and your own moral dilemmas are going to be injected into that, and there's really no avoiding it.
And Antonin Scalia specifically has made it clear time and time again that these strong feelings and religious beliefs that he has actually make him unable to remain impartial when ruling on the, quote, law, right? I mean, he would have made a fine justice during the Salem witch trials, for example, or maybe, Natan, even the Inquisition.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I think, a lot of people who defend Scalia defend him by saying that he has very clear ideas about how to interpret the Constitution, and he simply follows that. The thing is that his personal beliefs about what society should be like and his religious beliefs are sort of baked into his idea of how to interpret the Constitution. So it happened before. He was a person with beliefs his idea of how to perform his job came from that. So it's not necessary in individual cases for him to just think, oh, what do I think should happen with this? It's more like his whole way of interpreting the Constitution has already factored that in.
Absolutely.